Hi, I'm going to show you a Moho file I've set up to do uh, whiteboard animation. It's kind of like a system to actually do it. Some of the things are pretty simple that was done, and some of the things, follow the path is like your main item, and it's pretty involved with Moho how to do a follow the path. But once you get used to it, it's not that difficult, and it's pretty well laid out. So what we're going to do is that we're going to start off with a new file. And each time you start off with Moho objects, I'm going to pull in from this file. Okay, now I'm going to turn around and I'm going to bring the white background in. That's the first thing you need to do. Okay, you don't always have to do it once. And I'm going to do a wipe down to show. Okay, and I'm going to import that. On my white background, I'm going to wipe down to show. Okay, and there's some notes here. Okay, change the red mask to white for below groups. The red is to see the mask. Use the noisy to adjust the hand. So mask is white, or red. We're going to turn it to white. Okay, you can see on the timeline here. And if you want to adjust the hand, okay, got noisy. And you adjust the noisy. You want to touch the amplitude and you want to stagger it. And you can adjust how it goes through. So now that we got everything lined up, okay, white background next. Okay. So we're down 24, one frame or 1 second does the show. Now let's hold them for a second because you're gonna have voice in there, it's gonna be talking or whatever. And of course, I want to show notes. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in a swipe, clear the screen, and here's the whiteboard. Open. And the last three are wipes. I'm going to do wipe down. Okay. So the wipe down is 2 seconds. And it's on top of what you just saw. So it clears the screen by putting another white layer over on top. So let's see what else we can do here. Okay, so I'm going to import a Moho object. And great. Oh, open. Now there's a couple of vortex wipes across screen. Okay, once you see them, it's pretty obvious here. Here's a pull on a picking from. Now let's do it from the left. So now you can pretty much see pulling the picking from the left and the pointer and etc. Here, and of course you change the print file to whatever you're going to be using. So I got this in here, and I'm going to clear the screen again. Okay. So I'm going to bring in import object. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go from right to left. And that's on top of everything else. You got to make sure you don't pull them into individual files. It's going to wipe in that direction. Give it 2 seconds. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is the one that really, really you're going to use the most, I think, is that you're going to bring in follow the path. And it doesn't really, it's a lot of work involved, but it's a nice thing to do. So I'm going to get rid of the timeline because it's just in my way for seeing stuff. Now, one of the things I need is an object to cover, so I'm going to also import boat. I'll open that. And the boat's here, and I'm going to import that on top of everything. And that's going to be the object that I'm going to draw over and cover over. So I want to put it in by the placeholder. I'm going to delete the placeholder. Okay, now there's instructions here. So let's go through the instructions. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. That's the reason why I got further the timeline so we can see what's going. Replace the placeholder with your object. Okay, I just did that. So I'm going to clear that off. Okay, draw over the new object in the mask layer, making sure that the line width is wide enough to cover the object with no line breaks. So on the mask layer, okay, now you're going to find you're not going to be able to draw over, okay, unless you do this one thing. Preferences. Come on. This computer and it's so slower than. Come on. Here we go. Preferences. Okay. Tools. Okay. You probably have this enabled on drawing tools on only frame 1. You gotta unclick that and hit OK. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. All right. So you can either draw like this or draw with a pencil. Now my boat's not showing up. And one of the problems with the boat I've had is that when you draw in, some other times your layer settings aren't visible. So let's make this visible. I'm going to hit 5 off the screen. Okay, so now my boat's visible because I turned the visibility setting on. So if you see it dim, that's the reason why. The visibility setting on the layer is turned off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the mask above that, and I could either use the point tool, add point tool, or I'm going to draw freehand over it. You know, I want to do a zigzag over this. That looks good. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to bring the line width tool up. So I did number 2. I'm going to tweak that. Use the stroke exposure tool by moving the mouse left to right, or the right to left to clear the stroke. Now remember, I'm down the timeline, so when I'm doing this, don't freak out. Wrong tool. Stroke exposure tool. So I'm going to get rid of the stroke. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go down the timeline here. Okay? I'll go down 2 seconds. All right. So I'm taking that off the screen. And now I'm going to re-expose the stroke. Because that's basically, so I'm going to get rid of 3 and pull the stroke over to cover your object. I just covered it. Okay, so number 4 is done. Okay. Number 5, move the hand layer and the mask layer to above and out of the follow path group and go to frame 0. That's pretty, click, shift, grab on both. And I'm going to bring it up above. Now, I'm going to hit this, and I'm back to frame 0. The reason why I have to do this is because the follow path tool, I only want to be on the hand tool when I'm doing this. This follow path has to be started at works on frame 0. You have to click really close. Now, you get a number here and you want to change it to 0. And then you want to turn around. You want to grab both of these. Okay. It'd be tempting to put down a line or whatever, but we want to go back into where the boat is. Okay. Now, back on the hand tool, and I want to go back to where I was working in. So I want to, here's the timeline, and I'll let you see some of it. And I'm going to go back to where everything starts appearing, which is on way 86. All right? So now I'm going to go back to the working area. They left that out. Okay? So move the layer and start using the follow path tool. So what we're going to do is before we move the hand, I'm going to put it, I want to move down the timeline. Oops. For the 2 seconds I used before, and you can see that's where the stroke exposure ends. And I'm going to turn around and put this in as 100. There's a lot of work involved here, but the results are really, once you get used to this, it's really easy. So I'm going to move back to the beginning of the stroke, and I'm going to move the stroke exposure over. And that's pretty good. Little lag there, but I'm gonna leave that lag alone. Okay, so the last thing we're gonna do is we want to move the mask behind the boat, under the boat. It shows, and we go to the beginning of this. That's what this tool does. Goes to the beginning and looks for the next. Okay, the beginning of what we started. And the last thing we need to do is let me bring in the layers because the layers are off screen right now. And we're gonna hit masking. I'm gonna hit hide all, and I'm gonna hit apply. Take this out of my way. I have 2 screens, of course, and most people do. So we're gonna, we did the move back in, and use hide all, which we did. Okay, to follow the example. Now, when I play this, bingo. You can do certain things. Okay, so we got one follow the path done. A little work involved, but it's a lot easier than trying to do it all by scratch. Okay. Now, let's bring in one more, and I'll show you one more follow the path tool, and I'm going to go through it kind of quickly. I'm going to bring in first thing I want to do is I'm going to wipe the screen. I'm going to bring in the prints, and I'm bringing the follow the path. Now, because of the way they're laid out, they should fall in on top of each other. So the print is here, wipe the screen, and I want the prints to follow the path, so I'm going to pull the prints in where the placeholder is. I'm going to delete the placeholder. Okay. Now, Select the screen and the follow path are on the same spot in the timeline. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm bringing the timeline in here. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit so you can see what's going on. And I want to move the follow path now. Click on that. I'll move the follow path right on down to where that is. So as you can see now, I got a new follow path. Okay. I got the prints here. Okay. And I'm going to go through, I already did number 1. Got to do number 2, which I'm going to bring is above the prints. And the visibility on the follow path is off, so I'm off on one screen. I'm going to turn it on. There we go. The visibility is on. I think now when we import it, because all the visibilities are all off on everything over here. Don't come. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through this kind of quickly. The mask is above the prints. The prints, of course, is not visible neither. So we're going to make them visible. I'm going to draw over them with the pen tool quickly. I'm going to make mine look nice and wide so it's covered completely. Okay. And I'm going to grab. Oh, what did I forget? I forgot to do the stroke exposure. So we're going to turn around and I'm going to get rid of the stroke. Add the stroke exposure. Okay, now it's 3. I'm going to go down the timeline for 1 second. All right. And then I'm going to use the stroke exposure to cover them up. Okay, so we now want to skip steps. And then go both ends of the mask above. I'm going to go to frame 0. And put this to 0. And I'm going to grab both of these by shift. Bring them back. And go. Fortunately, that doesn't work. I got to go down the timeline to where I'm at. So let's go this way. Let's try it. I'm trying to find my timeline here. Here we go. There's my timeline to the last. And I want him here. Okay, so you see what I just did. Okay, now, of course, it's not going to show up in the play because I got to add more frames to my project. So anyway, now we're at the mask and the hand. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move the hand to where, oops, to where the stroke's going to start. And I'm going to hit and drag through. Oh, come on, Mom. Damn it.